to dim the lights so that makes the screen easier to see. Thank you to everybody for coming out this evening. I am not going to use the microphone because it's not a large crowd, but if you have a problem hearing me, let me know. So tonight we're going to talk about the proposed September 24th, 2019 bond referendum in Oak-Lynn. We have kind of dubbed it the warm, safe, and dry referendum. If you picked up packets from the table as you entered, you probably have two things. The big, thick packet is the formal board agenda, which will happen after the presentation, which you're welcome to stay for. What we're going to talk about for the first few minutes is just this single sheet, front and back. So that's what I would ask you to focus on now. And everything that's on here, you're going to also see on the screen, separated among some slides. So the Oak-Lynn Public School District Warm, Safe, and Dry Bond Referendum is scheduled for September 24th, 2019, which is a Tuesday in September. And our architect of record in Oak-Lynn is Garrison Architects, and they are the ones responsible for producing this presentation. The agenda for the presentation tonight is we're going to take a look at the school district profile, which will give you just some background information on the school. I heard some people talking about it's been a while since they've been in the building and they've been here, so I will bring you up to speed on where the school sits today. Then the Department of Education school facilities funding options, we're going to go over those pretty quickly, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the agenda and the bond referendum schedule. So this is just some background information. The Oakland Public School District, I'm not going to read this, but the Oakland Public School District up until last year was a pre-K through 9 school. It was the only pre-K through 9 school in New Jersey. As of last year, we moved students in grades 6, 7, 8, and 9 over to Collingswood. The Oakland Board approved a tuition agreement, a 5-year tuition agreement with Collingswood that set the rate for those students over 5 years. So it will not go up for 5 years. That is a huge incentive to the taxpayers of Oakland. So if you have budgeted to send, I'm going to use round numbers, 100 students to Collingswood Middle School and High School, and you send 120, you're not paying a dime for the extra 20. All right, so it is a set number over the next 5 years, and we are in the first of those 5 years. So as of last year, this was a pre-K through 9 building, and then moving forward this year, it will be a pre-K through 5 building. It just so happens that this year, for the first time, Oak-Lynn became eligible for what is called preschool expansion funding. The funding, that funding comes from the state. Not one penny of local tax money is used. Not one penny of Oak-Lynn local tax money is used for that. All of that funding comes from the state. And in Oak-Lynn, you will eventually add, when we grow to full capacity, we should add about 75 preschool students to this building. So as the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders were leaving, you were gaining about 75 preschool students on their heels. So that's kind of what the first part of this says. So currently, your students in grades 6 through 12 from Oak-Lynn attend Collingswood Middle School and Collingswood High School, where there is a large range of activities available to them. And the Oakland students are participating fully in all of those activities, from athletics to our co-curricular, our band, strings, choral activities, and our theater program. So the Oakland students are participating kind of at full strength. Over to the right, you'll see that this original building was built in 1926 with a 2-story wing addition back in 1973. So that's kind of just some information about the building itself. That is the school district, the first page of the school district profile. I'm going to walk you now into sort of an overview of the referendum. Just so you know, because I did not mention this presentation either is or will be by tonight available on the website. I think it's on there. But this whole presentation will be on the website. So you can go to the Oakland website and look at anything. If you missed something or you have a question, you can certainly review this presentation again. So we are calling the referendum the Warm, Safe, and Dry referendum. And it essentially has 4 major components to it. There is really nothing fancy. There is nothing that's extravagant. The warm part, this building was built in 1926 with, again, the addition in 1973. The mechanical systems in the building, which is your HVAC systems, have not been upgraded in 30 years. And they've required significant maintenance over the last few years. Because of the age of the system, obviously parts are becoming more and more difficult to obtain. And when we can get parts, they're very expensive, which makes that process of repair very inefficient. This past December, I believe it was, a cold day in December, there was a heating unit that went out over the kindergarten wing, and that unit caused a gas leak in the building. We had to evacuate the building. Repairing that unit took some time as we had to wait for parts to come in. The windows were last replaced in the building in 1996. Many of them today cannot be opened and closed safely, and we cannot get replacement parts for those windows. So that's not even an issue of expense. The replacement parts for the windows are not available. That's the warm part. The safe part. Obviously, anybody with a TV or radio has heard news accounts over the last several years of terrible incidents, violent incidents in our schools. We are working hard to ensure that our students in Oakland are safe every single day. The safe part of this referendum is to take the current front entrance. If you come in the front of the building, up the steps, through those doors, that's the front entrance. And take the current front entrance and build a vestibule there. That means when anyone from the outside comes into the school, they will essentially be stuck in that vestibule. They can't go right, they can't go left, they can't go into the school until they are released into the school. So they can get in out of the cold, they can get in out of the elements, they can't get into the school itself until somebody in the office releases them. If it is a parent who's coming in, or anybody coming in to drop off a lunch money, a musical instrument, anything like that, they're going to be able to do so without actually entering the building itself, the school itself. They'll come into the vestibule, there'll be windows on both sides, they can drop off whatever they need to and head right back out the door. That is a Department of Education encouraged practice, is to really limit the ability for folks to roam around the school. And then the dry piece is that Oakland currently has a rubber roofing system that was last replaced in 1997 and is currently out of warranty. There are 3 layers on the roof right now with insulation in between. Because of leaking, that insulation gets soaked when it rains. And when the insulation in the roof insulation gets soaked, it becomes very heavy up there. We have had incidents where water has leaked into the building, leaked into hallways, leaked into the cafeteria, and onto the stage. So those are the 3 main elements, the 3 kind of areas that we're looking to attack. So essentially, the warm part is going to be your mechanical systems, and the windows. The safe part is the security vestibule, and the dry part is replacing the roof. This is kind of a walk through New Jersey school referendum and school construction history. I'm going to walk you through this. In 2000, the year 2000, skipping the top paragraph, the year 2000, and then again 2008, you will see that about $11–12 billion was allocated by the Department of Education at the state level for school construction. If we are one of the 31 special needs districts in this state, which we are not, then any construction that we did in the state would be 100% covered by state funding. You are not one of the 31 special needs districts in the state. Therefore, your state funding is limited to 40%, but you do get 40% of this project funding. And I'm going to show you those numbers in a second. The state funds projects, school construction projects, through what's called debt service aid, which means the state, every time we make a payment, adds 40% to that payment. So they essentially pay off 40% of your loan or your bond for you. In terms of our annual budgeting, we are limited, that any school district in the state is limited to how much we can raise taxes year over year. And the amount we're limited to, which is 2%, is not enough and will never be enough to replace and repair the systems that we need to replace in this school or any school. It's just not enough money. That leads us to our referendum project. If we were able to repair our systems in the school using annual money, so the annual tax money that you pay, then every dime that the system costs. If the window costs $1,000, we are paying $1,000 for that window. And that's coming out of your local tax money. That's coming out of your tax money. If the project costs $100,000, you are paying $100,000 for it. If you use debt service aid and the project costs $100,000, you are paying $60,000 of that, and the state is picking up the other $40,000. So that is a benefit to going out to a referendum, is that you do get the state to pay for 40% of the cost of the referendum. Is there anything else on here? Several years ago, the state issued what were called ROD grants. ROD stands for Regular Operating District. It's a fancy term, I guess, for basically typical school districts. The state has not issued, the ROD grants were for capital projects like the one we're proposing, but the ROD grants also paid 40%, but they did so, that RIDE grant program expired in 2013. We did take advantage of it while it was available for us, so Oakland took advantage of the RIDE grants, but that money is no longer available. So the only way to get the state, currently, to get the state to pay that 40% is by going through the referendum and using debt servicing. All right, so these are the costs on the different components of the project. So you see the little red dot up there? The exterior renovations, we have a roof replacement, and then exterior window and lintel replacement for all of our windows. That comes to about a little over $2.08 million. So $1.7 million of that is the actual supplies, labor, and then there are soft costs built into that. Those are the exterior renovations to the building. The interior renovations include the new main office security vestibule with interior doors, transaction windows on both sides of the vestibule, and replacement glass. That comes to about $180,000 total. Our building systems are your mechanical systems, so that's your heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and that, the HVAC system, and we're going to look at a map in a second where this will be drawn out for you. The HVAC system in the building in total over in this section comes to $1.3 million, $1.36 million. And then the electrical construction will be new electrical panels, fire alarm systems, fire alarm modifications to be able to maintain and handle the additional pull and electric from the upgraded systems. When we upgrade things like an HVAC system, we put in one of the most efficient systems available on the market today that is all controlled digitally. So if this building closes down at 6 o'clock at night after our last students leave, the air, during the winter, the temperature in the building drops. So we don't heat it all night, and then the next morning it comes back on and starts to heat before the kids arrive. So that is an efficiency aspect of putting in. Your current systems are not efficient at all. They're old. So you don't get to take advantage of the efficiencies that are available in today's systems. So here's kind of the same numbers from the last slide, a little bit easier to read. Exterior renovations, cost is a little bit over $2 million. The state share of that's about $832,000. So of that cost, you're picking up about $1.2 million. Interior renovations, $180,000. The state's going to pick up $72,000 of it. You are on the hook for $108,000 of that. Mechanical construction, $1.368 million. You see the state share there, a bit over almost $550,000. And the state is left, or your local share is $820,000. So this is your 40% column, obviously. And then electrical construction, $360,000. The state share is $144,000, and the local share there, $216,000. So of the $3.988 million project, the state will pick up 40%, or $1.595 million. The local share of that is $2.39 million. The average tax impact over the 20 years annually is $80.33 at an average assessed home of $162,441. So if you are somewhere near the average assessed home in Oakland, you can expect your tax impact over the 20 years to average $80.33. All right. This is a picture, kind of a sky view of the building. First, we're going to talk about roof. So over the last 3 or 4 years, we have begun to replace the roof system in the building. The white sections, this area right here is the library, over in that corner. This area is the cafeteria and the stage area, and then the kitchen area off the back here. When we examined the roof over the last, say, 5 years, these were the areas that at that time were most in need. So we have replaced the roofing systems in those 3 areas. That leaves the rest of the building that needs the new roof. So everything in yellow, including this little space back here, this is the area we're proposing to re-roof. We'll now take a look at the HVAC system. So right now, where you see AC, that's where we currently have air conditioning in the building. So this is the gym. This one is the space you're in right now. This is the stage area, so these 2 are air conditioned. This is the nurse's office and a faculty lounge here. That's air conditioned. So these spaces are air conditioned. Nothing else in this building is currently air conditioned. The proposal is this. little bit hard to see, but this is, what you're looking at here is the first floor. That's the floor that we're on right now. The proposal will add air conditioning here. These are your kindergarten, as of next year, these are going to be strictly your kindergarten and preschool classrooms, as well as the library. And then if you can see along the front here, the little red spaces here, those are unit ventilators, so those will be used to ventilate and provide HVAC to those classrooms. So the red dots are unit ventilators. The handicap entrance to the school is down here. That will not change. So this is, again, the first floor. We're proposing air conditioning this space over here, and then adding these red dots, these unit ventilators, throughout the first floor. That's the first floor of the building. Now we're going to go up a level. That's the second floor of the building. Anything that is currently boxed in with blue over here, remember that's the last picture. That whole wing is being air conditioned. This is the wing right above it. So we're going to air condition this wing, which are your upper elementary classrooms, and then these spaces in here, again, up on the second floor. So this would all be air conditioned. This area here is kind of the steps right up into the front office. Right now, this is the main office where the dot is, and this is a workroom with a copy machine and mailboxes and those types of things. So main office and workroom. This space in here will be a security vestibule. So when you enter the Oakland school, come up the steps, get in the doors, come up the steps again, you will essentially be in the security vestibule, and if you don't belong in the building, you're not getting out of that. That provides safety to pretty much everyone else in the building. Every other door in this building, every minute of the day is locked. The only way for folks to get in and out without a key or a key fob is through that main entrance. So this is the air-conditioned section of the building. This is our timeline moving ahead. So some of these things you'll see. We have submitted a plan to the Department of Education, waiting for approval, final approval on that plan. LRFP is Department of Education speak for long-range facilities plan. When you're making a change to your building, you'll update that plan with the Department of Education. The Department of Ed issues approval, so the PEC offer and the FEC issues an FEC, those are approvals, and they will finalize the portion of the project that they're going to pay. There is nothing in your project that won't be eligible for 40%. The 40% match. So the board approved the special election at the March 19th board meeting. We are finalizing debt service statements. We're finalizing election information with the county. And if you follow this down, you will see that the special election itself is set for September 24th, 2019. The hours for that are going to be 7 in the morning until 8 at night. And you will vote in your regular voting places where you vote in every election. Do that. So that's it for the presentation. There are essentially 4 elements to the project, and they all kind of fall under that warm, safe, and dry umbrella. So you have roofing system, HVAC, security vestibule, and windows. So it's nothing that is terribly fancy or, unfortunately, terribly exciting, but it's all necessary to keep our kids experiencing the best education they can. I am certainly open to any questions. With me, I have Mr. Hurd, who is our facilities director, and Scott McLaughlin, who works for Garrison Architects and can answer technical questions that I'm not able to answer, but I would be happy to give it a shot and answer any questions that you have.
I'm certainly in favor of this and all the work to be done. What I'm concerned about, though, is to get to the place where our middle school kids went to Collingswood. It seems to me it took a long time, a lot of wasted money. When the writing was on the wall, we were getting there anyway, and we had back and forth, back and forth. The only thing that I'm concerned is, if we do all this to the school, are we going to hear in 2 years, 5 years, oh, we can't fill the school, our kids have to go somewhere?
I understand what you're saying. Obviously part of my job is to try to figure out what your questions are going to be before you ask them. So I've thought of that. Right now, the only way for this school to not function is to move all of your students over to Collingswood, right? They're not going to go anywhere else. There's a connection that will likely never be broken with Collingswood, right? The Collingswood elementary schools right now are bursting at the seams. We could not take one of your students right now. Now, is something going to happen in 30 years? I don't know what's going to happen in 30 years, right? But over the next several years, the Collingswood enrollment is growing. It has grown. I will give you, because I'm over there too, that last year at this time, we had 118 students enrolled in kindergarten, registered for kindergarten. Today, we have 151. That's how quickly it's growing. Right? So the only way to do what you're suggesting is to move everybody over there, and there is no space. So that's an excellent question, but it is not one that I would lose an ounce of sleep over, because that's not going to happen. Okay, sir.
Why did you move the kids over there at this point?
Why did we move the
6, 7,
6, 7, 8, and 9?
I mean, it's been talking for 40 years now,
Right.
and all of a sudden, boom.
I don't know that it was all of a sudden, because we did talk
it's
about
all
it
of
for a long
sudden.
time.
It's been talked about, it's
Right.
been shot down. 2 years ago, I heard there was a surplus in this school. Now, all of a sudden, we have no money to fix the school up. I mean, it's, you know.
Well, you have used your money to fix the school up over the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
The roofing systems that we talked about, that's a lot of money. And in a school budget, that's a big chunk of money. Eventually, that money's not available anymore.
But a big chunk of money went to Collingswood.
But you gained, your financial situation today
Right.
is stronger than it was at this time last year.
How's it stronger with half the school?
Because you are paying you're paying Collingswood the money. That money is locked in over 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
But it still came from the school to go there.
But understand that when you send students there, who do we not need here anymore? So 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade
The whole
students, right?
picture, is it a negative?
It is a positive for Oakland.
How's it
It's a positive
positive?
for both districts. That's why we did it.
No, it's a positive for Collingswood.
No,
They
it's a
got our
positive
tax
for
dollars.
Oakland. Sir, you saved, I could pull them, if you shoot me an email tomorrow, I'll be happy to give the actual numbers. You're sending Collingswood, I don't know, 550,000 a year, is that what the number is? Somewhere in that range. No.
I just round off, say 550.
Okay, 1.5 million, sorry, $1.5 million a year. You are saving $2 million a year in salaries. Because you're not paying those middle school and 9th grade teachers anymore, right? You're not paying them. So it wasn't that we took your money and just threw it over there, and you have less local bills.
So in other words, the cost of running the school was higher than,
The cost of running this school, as it was at this time last year, was higher than it is today. So you sent money to
What about
Collingswood and
Collingswood?
still saved.
what happens in Collingswood? Don't they get raises? And doesn't their cost go up?
Sure. Just like any school, right? They get raises, their costs go up, their electric bills go up.
Well, how can you take on more there and they're not going up, but we can't afford it?
Because if I have a classroom here, if I have classrooms here with, let's say, 16 students in each, let's say I have 2 classrooms, 16 students in each grade, 32 kids. I'm not going to put them into one classroom, right? I move them over to Collingswood with many other students. I can immerse those kids and save the salary of a teacher. So we saved money by not, when we reduced the number of teachers in Oakland last year, we did not hire every one of them in Collingswood. So that's how Collingswood saved money. You save money by reducing your local costs. The money that you're sending to Collingswood is less than you would have paid had you kept those students here. So it is truly the rare situation of a win-win for both districts.
But we're hit with a $3 million, $3.99 million.
If you're-
I mean, you live in Jersey, obviously.
If your junior high students
Number
were
one.
still here, right?
I'm sorry?
If your junior high students were still here,
Right.
you wouldn't be doing this?
I have no idea. I don't know what the financial situation was until today, until now.
Okay.
I don't know the situation if you took money over there, and we don't have enough money to take care of things here.
Okay. So it is
We
not
don't-
the
We don't
case.
have the facts and figures. We just come and hear what you present to us. I have no idea.
Okay, what would you like? Tell us what you'd like and I'll get it for
The
you.
bottom line is, we all live in New Jersey.
Right.
We're number 1 in property state, property
You're
tax.
correct.
Number 1.
You're correct.
I personally about over $3,000 a year to the school district. Now you're going to come to me and say, now I need another 80 plus because it goes 3.5%, I believe. It's not exactly $80, depending on the cost of your
The
house.
assessment of your house.
Right, exactly. Which everybody fluctuates. How can you come up with a figure for 3.99? You don't even know what each individual house. So this $80 a year is just throwing out figure. You have no idea.
Assessed value of the home.
That's the average
Every
assessed
home,
value.
the average.
Right,
Average
that's what
value
that
of
says.
housing.
The average assessed value.
And then in 20 years,
Every house in town.
this work on this building, 20 years, this tax will never go away, never. Because in 20 years, you're gonna need another roof.
And you might be
And
right.
then you're gonna need another this or that, so it'll never go away. So on top of our #1 property taxes in the country, we got another tax. With the tax with the CCNUA going up, with the tax with the Oakland Water going up. I mean, you can't keep bleeding.
What are the options?
I don't know what the options are.
So all we
But
can do is,
3.99 seems like it's a hell of a lot of money.
all we can do is deal in reality, and the
Well,
reality is that your building needs to be.
Okay, reality, it might not be enough, but the security, that's almost an insult. I mean, we have Oakland's finest out there in the morning and the afternoon, watching our kids. We have kindergarten to 5th grade coming in here. You don't have many mentally ill teenagers coming in with firearms. So to politically go that area was an insult, because there's nothing here that would do what happened in Florida, California and all. So to put that in there, it just seems to be adding on to the bill. Do you understand where we're already overtaxed?
You came close to that.
I don't think, that's not, excuse me. don't-
I live right
understand what
here.
you're saying.
I live here. I remember, it was a kid, it was a teenager,
But
and he.
understand something,
It was a
I
whole
don't think that you're gonna find one person with a child or grandchild in this school that would agree with what you just said. That situation
Would
can
agree with
happen
what?
anywhere.
That the police can't do a job, that we need more?
They're not there all day.
I never
They're
said.
there in the morning, the doors are locked, and they're in the afternoon. And during the day, you see them here
We have
now.
people who come in and out of
We
school
have
all
kindergarten to
day.
5th graders. We don't have teenagers here. We don't have mentally ill teenagers. To add on, what I'm saying is, it seems like there's no, it's just like you just keep adding on to this. Let's just give 3.99 million and toss it out there. And even though you're overtaxed now, here, just go ahead.
Understood. And-
It's all yours.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I'm all for capital improvements.
Okay.
I'm for the safety issues. My wife's a school teacher, not here, but somewhere else.
Right.
I want her to be safe.
Sure.
The incident that just happened in Colorado, my best friend's wife was teaching at that school. So you don't think it's going to happen, but it can happen. It almost happened here. So, I agree with the security issues. I agree with all the HVAC work, all the infrastructure items. But, and you said nothing excessive. And I tend to agree with you looking at the construction costs, the estimated construction costs. Except when we get to the exterior renovations. That number seems very excessive.
And that's
At $30 a square foot for the roof. Now, we did do the library roof and the kitchen roof a few years ago.
Right.
It was $204,000. It was 6,000 square feet. That was $35 a square foot. Now, obviously, economy of scale, we're going to be doing larger areas, so you'd hope that price would come down to 30. But again, that was 3 years ago. We also had inflation.
Sure.
At $30 a square foot, you can get a comparable roofing system installed at this school for half that cost. Half that cost. Still warranted for 30 years, just like what's being proposed here. Something has to be done there. For me to vote on this package, I would want to see the roofing portion of it set up with an alternate price for an alternate roofing system capable of receiving a 30-year warranty. $30 a square foot is ridiculous. Also, the window portion of it, and I've lived here for 35 years, put 2 kids through this.
A lot of years.
I've been all in this school. I've been around it. I'm familiar with the infrastructure here. I'm familiar with construction numbers, and even the window portion of it. Even though we're replacing lintels, a lot of lintels along with the windows, even that number seems high to me. And I think here again, we should look at probably what's specified. Maybe it's a Cadillac, but there's no reason why we can't also specify an alternate price for a comparable window that would be less costly.
I'm going to turn to, I don't know, Scott or Al, if you're the,
The one pertaining to your concern about the windows, I would go back to the presentation where Scott explained that the windows were replaced in 1996. And that is not very old for new windows to need to be replaced. The fact that it was probably a lesser grade type of window is the reason that it needs to be replaced within 20 years. So the intent is that you pay a little bit extra for a better quality window, then that product lasts you a lot longer, and over the long term, you end up paying less. The same is the case with the roofing system. If you pay extra for a better product, that better product will last you much longer, and you get more economy of scale. You get more efficiency for your dollar. There are two ways to approach it. You could get the cheapest product and replace it on a more frequent basis, but we found that it's much more cost effective to get the better product and make it last.
In my profession, I found that the system specified for the roof does not outperform the other systems. And I'm a licensed architect. Right? I have a firm, PMC pre-qualified, SDA pre-qualified. I've designed hundreds of roofs throughout the state of New Jersey. And I'm also a registered roof consultant.
Okay.
I'm also own not only an architectural firm, but I also own an exterior a building envelope consulting firm. So that's where I see those numbers. I've done a lot of HVAC replacements as well, specified those. Those numbers, to me, look correct. I've done a lot of window replacement projects. That number seems out of whack. And I'm not talking about a low-grade window like we installed in 1996. Those are ridiculous. But but same token, we don't need the Rolls-Royce because the Rolls-Royce isn't going to give you, that costs twice as much as the Ford, is not going to give you twice the lifespan. It's just not. I'm very familiar with that. And the same thing goes with the roofing system. Matter of fact, the roofing system that's specified, the SBS system, that only holds a 10% share of the market in the entire country. So at a 10% share, there aren't even that many competent applicators that could even install that. So you're not even getting as many competitive bids. If you open it up to some of the other manufacturers, you're going to get a lot more competitive atmosphere, not only from the manufacturers, but from the contractors. Ergo, you're going to get a price that's going to fall within the $15 to $18 square foot range, give you a 30-year warranty.
Can I ask you what system
Sure.
you would specify at that price range?
I would probably go either EPDM, and again, now you're going to tell me, well, the EPDM roof system that's up there is, is 22 years old. But that EPDM roof system, as you said, is installed over 2 previous roof systems.
Which is not legal.
Which is not legal, and any roof system installed over an existing roof system, even the SBS system that you're proposing, if you install that over 2 roof systems, we probably would have had to replace it a couple of years ago. I would go to a single ply application, probably a fleece back material. It would get set in a foam adhesive. You get a manufacturer's 30-year warranty. You'd also have the ability to get 5 or 6 different comparable manufacturers that have the same product and the same warranty time frame to provide competitive material pricing.
I would agree with you on paper, that sounds like a better deal. But in reality, we've found that those single-ply membranes, that warranty is really not worth what you think it's worth. It's definitely not including labor, and it's a prorated material. So when you get into 15-year, which is when the EPDM roof system will leak, that's when you start.
That's not true. It's a no-dollar limit warranty for the lifespan of the warranty. It covers all materials and workmanship for that period.
For which manufacturer? Because I know
From Carlisle, from Versico, from Johns Manville. Yes, they do. All right, yes, they do.
In the situations where we expect them. So
I'm just
we
telling you.
have to disagree.
I've been in the exterior building envelope field for 35 years. As I said, I'm a licensed architect in 5 states, including New Jersey. I have my own firm. I routinely design, specify, and evaluate roof systems. I've seen single-ply roof systems in excess of 35 years in age on schools in New Jersey.
I don't question what you've certainly experienced and what your preference is.
Those roof
Our
systems
experience
they
has
did
been different.
half the cost.
Can I follow up on that? Did this go out on bids, or did you just choose? I mean, when it's your own home, you search, but government seems to just.
First of all, the government doesn't just, that doesn't happen.
Well, but I'd hire this gentleman over here.
Okay.
So
So,
I will point out one thing, you know, your experience, you did design all the additions in Haddon Township. They went single ply. They did not go SBS.
We have made several attempts into the single ply, and
Matter
most of the
fact, on
time,
your own office that you own, you have a single ply roof system on it.
most of the time when we go with single ply, it is solely budget driven. But I am certain that with the understanding that as you age that roof system, it is not going to hold up, and you're not going to get the same warranty response that you will with the specified SBS system. We have seen that over and over. We are the architect in 73 school districts. We have seen that on a regular basis where warranties are not upheld. Carlisle, Firestone, any of these single-ply membrane manufacturers that you mentioned, I'm not sure what your experience is with them in particular, but ours directly has been that they will not cover labor and material, and these roof systems do not last as long. That's just been our personal experience, and that's why we stick with a product that we are comfortable with. The manufacturers have been vetted through our continued use of their products, and that's what we recommend. We feel that it's the best product and the best dollar for the public's
If it goes
value.
that way, if it goes that way, where you don't seek an alternate price for, say, a single ply system, something that we could get for half the cost, I'm not going to vote for this bond referendum. And I recommend that anyone here that's a resident of Oakland not to vote for it, just for that reason.
Excuse me, which goes to my next question. This is a referendum, we vote. We all vote no, say, which everybody I talk to is a no. I mean, I don't speak for everybody. Everybody I did talk to said no. What happens then?
well, then we go back to the drawing board and we probably start replacing sections one at a time, and you don't get a penny in state aid. You don't get a penny in state share. So every dime of that comes, first of all, you don't get economies of scale, and every dime comes out of your tax money. You don't get the 40%.
So you don't raise our taxes then?
What's that?
You don't raise our taxes.
Your taxes will go up. You will
They
not
go
get
up either way.
I'm not going to change your mind on that, so I'm not going to keep arguing that point. First of all, you asked a minute ago about has this gone out to bid. It has not gone out to bid for a single
I
reason.
figured that. I mean,
Okay, but you won't let me finish. It hasn't gone out to bid because it hasn't been approved. Once, if the referendum is approved, the next step is we finalize the specs and we go out to bid. And we will go out to bid because that's the law in New Jersey. We go out to bid on every project that we do. So you're not going to, I get it, you're not going to believe that, but we go out to bid on every single project that we do. But you want us to put the cart before the horse. We can't go out to bid until we have an approved referendum that says here's the amount of money you have a money available to
You
you.
already had a bid. You have 3.99 million. Where did that come from?
These are estimates. They're estimates because before we know what to ask for, we have to get an estimate, right? These are based
So in
upon,
other words, we have to okay it, and you're going to come back and say, well, here it is now. This is what you got. I mean, you're going to come back at any price. Right now, you're telling us 3.99 million.
no. You are going to approve a bond for a specific number. That number that was on the screen, right? Once you approve that, we can't come back to you a month later and say, oh, we need more, come give it to us. That's not the way it works. Right? That's the number you have approved.
I understand that.
Okay?
But that 3.99 million, which he just explained, what I thought was it's outrageous, 3.99 million.
Okay.
Think about
So
it.
this gentleman explained his position, and it sounds
Yeah.
valid, right?
Well, absolutely.
That gentleman explained his position, which also has some validity to it. So can we go back and talk about these things? Sure. That's something that, as a school district, we will dive deeper into, right? I have no problem doing that. That's not an issue. This isn't meant to be adversarial. This is meant to bring people together to provide information, right? You've already made up your mind. That's too much money, and we're going to come back to you for more money. I can't change your mind, right? What I can do is explain to you the facts. And the facts are that this gentleman over here certainly seems to know what he's talking about,
Oh, yeah.
and he has an opinion and a position, and that's fine, and we will take that into consideration. So that's fine. I mean, we'll do that. Sir.
Yes, Sean Moen. Quick question. So just thinking both sides of the balance sheet.
Sure.
We talked about the cost. I'd assume, first of all, thank you to the board and to the administration. I know this is an important initiative, whether or not it passes. I appreciate you guys taking this up. So when I think HVAC upgrades and new windows, I think energy efficiency, and there should be a positive impact to that in terms of your utility expense, right? And there are also credits available from the utilities if you make sometimes these type of upgrades. And so I'm guessing you guys have plotted that out too.
Yes.
So there's a yin to the yang, if you will, to these expenses,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep, all of those things are put into a referendum, all those things are considered with the costs. So as we become more energy efficient, obviously, just the efficiency of the equipment itself will help. And then there are credits available as we become more energy, just like in your home, right? There are things that you do.
To be blunt,
For
the
whatever-
PSE and G expense should go down for this
Correct.
school.
So the
Absolutely,
annual
your
operating
operating
expenses
costs.
should go down year over year.
And just, and one more, I'm sorry, quickly, this may be better addressed to the engineers, but I'm guessing, without knowing, just looking at that footprint map of the school, this has to be the largest, if not one of the largest structures in the borough, right? And if we're talking about a new roof, I just ask that we consider things like green roof and you know, what can we do there? And are there any opportunities for, you know, making this environmentally friendly, particularly at a school where there could be an education opportunity?
We typically don't, because that does increase the cost. And going back to this gentleman's concerns with the cost of an already, and I'm not going to say that we're not at one of the upper end roof products out there. We feel that that's justified because of the performance of the roof. But when you add on things like the green roofing, that is not only just an additional cost in the installation, but also maintenance for the district. Now you've got something that they have to go and take more care of. And that does, unfortunately, take more funding away from the operating school district. It's a great idea. I think that that's really the direction that everyone should be looking toward. But for public school districts, it's, unless there's an initiative specifically for environmentally conscious initiatives or areas to focus on, then you typically just can't fund it.
I'm sorry.
Programs end up taking precedent over having
I totally get
sort
it.
of an extra.
Is there a chance to leave the project, poor choice of words, I'm just not subject expert. Can we make it modular so that, let's say the school could then go and get a grant for a green roof from Sustainable Jersey or one of these groups. Could we then implement that down the road, like a year or two from now, into the roof project?
The concern would be the structure of trying to, the green roof is probably going to be a more weighted assembly, so you're going to have to add structure to it.
Okay.
Once you pay for a new roof system, you really don't want to take that back up.
Understood.
That would be lost funding.
Oakland, I can tell you, has applied for Sustainable Jersey grants and has been successful. The largest that I'm aware of, that Sustainable Jersey grants is $10,000. And that's rare, they're usually $2,000. But we have not gotten a $10,000 grant here in Oakland yet. We will eventually. We have gotten a couple in Collingswood. And they do some nice, we do some nice work with that amount of money. But I think the money you're talking about is probably a lot.
I'm just trying to keep it open-ended.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And we, I think in addition, and kind of outside of the roof piece, is that we do those things pretty regularly, and we do look for that money from those outside sources pretty regularly.
And to speak to your earlier comment about credits for efficient equipment, we would certainly apply for as many credits as we qualify for, having the most current energy efficient equipment that can be specified. And New Jersey has a Smart Start program, and they often offer rebates, and we would certainly apply for those, and it could be as much as 10 grand.
Great.
And that's certainly valuable funding.
Sure.
Yeah, green roofs are excessive in cost and do require a lot of maintenance. And if you look at any green roof 10 years after it's been installed, it's usually a brown roof. Whatever roof system that does go here will be a reflective roof system. That in of itself makes it a green roof. It eliminates that heat island effect of what we have up there now as a black membrane sucking up that heat during the day and transmitting that heat into the air at night, into the atmosphere. So theoretically, it will be green. And you are right. This particular facility is our largest roof in Oakland. Our next largest roofs that we as taxpayers are responsible for would be Borough Hall and the fire department. And I'd like to point out that both of those buildings have EPDM roofs. They have single-ply roof systems, which have function very well for us as taxpayers, and we've had no issues with those. Ergo, I see no reason why we should have to pay twice the amount of money for a roofing system here at the school when we already have 2 roofs in the borough that are functioning properly and cost, half the amount per square foot as what they're proposing. If you put it in perspective, every one of these floor tiles, look at it, that's $30. Every one of those 2-foot by 4-foot ceiling tiles, that's $240. That's a lot of money. And that's the only reason I bring that up. And again, I still have to disagree with your standpoint on Carlisle and Versico, and it's, I really don't think it's fair to even, mention manufacturers in a public forum like this, especially, saying not such nice things about them. But I've never had that experience with any of those manufacturers.
Responding to that, I'm not saying that that's a bad product. It has its place. And our opinion is it doesn't have a place in a public school where we want the best value for a long-term dollar. And as far as half the price, I do have to disagree with you. Even the EPDM roofs that we're getting are not $15 a square foot. They're 20 or 22. And if you want the 30-year, you're talking 23, 24. It's just not that cheap when you have to publicly bid the project. There are other costs that contractors have to put into their costs, not just the material.
I understand that totally. So as I said, I do this as a living, just like you do.
So we have a difference of opinion, and that's fine.
Difference of opinion. And as I said, the only thing that I would ask, and I mean, that when you put the package together, you do have an alternate price provided.
We will certainly go back with the district
For a single ply system.
and talk about how we can respond to the community's concerns.
Sure.
I think that that's
Because
very
like you
valid.
said, I mean, you did that in Haddon Township, and funny, you're always, compare yourself to Haddon Township. They got single ply roof systems there, designed by you, and you said it was a money issue. Well, here again.
Often it is a
it's
money issue.
here too, and we are getting 40% from the state, but again, we're still paying taxes to the state also.
But keep in mind, that might not necessarily be the best long-term decision. That has yet to play out.
Like I said before, I'm in favor of doing all this work, but listening to the gentleman, when I bought a new stove for my house and I bought a new washer for my house, I could have spent double and more, got all kinds of, but it wasn't necessary. I didn't buy the top of the line oven because they're usually not necessary. And you could get one just perfectly good and will last as long, et cetera, et cetera. So I really hope the board does look into this, that maybe buying all the bells and whistles and the top of the line isn't really necessary. Just like, I don't know, everybody on the board, if they go and buy the most expensive wash machine when they go to replace their washer.
If it's 40% off, I do.
No, even if it's getting 40% off, I wouldn't buy the top of the line. That's
But your point is a good one.
That was insulting.
Oh, no, I didn't, I was just making a joke. I deeply apologize.
That was,
Oh, no, I was just
I
joking.
expect you to be as responsible with taxpayer money
That
as.
was a poor choice.
That is something that's been brought up now a couple times tonight, and that's absolutely something that we will look into. And we'll dig into that a little bit more. Any other questions? On your sheet, the heavier duty cardboard sheet, there's an email address there. If you get home or on your way home think of questions, you can certainly shoot them to that email address or give us a call and we'll be happy to give you the answer, or if we don't know, we'll find you the answer and get it back to you. All right? Thank you very much for coming out. The board is going to have its business meeting now. You're welcome to stay for that, but this is the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Oswald.
Thank you.